Follow me.
Good. Now it's too low, which is good. Now try it.
Oh, much better. Oh, look at that. Hang on, wait, I've got to rev it. Woo! Alright, g'day, my name's David. This is my project. It's been a while since I last updated anyone. But this is my 150R Noodle, this one here. Engine and modern swap in a 125 chassis. This way I have the classic look with everything modern. ABS, everything. Alright, so let's... Actually, let me just grab a pointing device. And maybe a light. Now, here's my front fender. I'm working on a front rack, as you can see. So I'm just working on it. It looks like this. I got rid of the indicators. I'm going for a Vespa look where it's all smooth, one shield. All right, let me just get one of these. Alright. Also, let me grab some of these. Alright. Alright, let's get back to the motorbike. So, let's talk about the project. Now, is this project possible? Can a normal person do this? And is it easy? Alright, so first of all, it is super easy. So many of these parts are either swappable, or if you go to the Kymco dealership, you can just buy the parts that you need. Which, I mean, for an example, you need a 200i fuel tank because it's fuel injected. It's not gravity fed. This one here is gravity fed. We'll talk about that later. What else did I buy for this bike? I really don't think I bought really much. I bought that. Oh, I also have bought from the Philippines a seat bucket for the 200i. This, to me, is just ugly. Does it work? Yes. Is it ugly? Yes. So I have bought a 200i bucket seat. And that will just obviously go where it belongs. Anyway, let's talk about this bike now. And let's talk about things that I have done, modified, or had to do to make it work. Alright, let's try this again. Alright, so let's talk about the things that can go wrong, or the things that you need to buy to make this 150 Kymco-like inside a 125 Kymco-like. So this is a 2021 or 2022 Kymco-like R with the Noodle dash or whatever. ABS, all that stuff inside a 125. Now I might repeat that throughout the videos. Anyways, what can go wrong and what did I do to fix it? Alright, so the first thing is And this is the biggest, this is the biggest shit moment. So the front steering stem, or the triple tree clamp, whatever you want to call it, which goes from here all the way up to the top here, it is this silver bar that goes inside this gold frame. Alright? Now, what happened is it fits straight in, okay? However, you can't get this nut on the frame because it's too high. So you have to get someone who has a machine to get this thread and make it longer. Once this thread is longer, you can get the nut on the frame. Now, why does that happen? Because you have to use the 150R steering stem. You have no choice. Alright? If you want to do this swap, you have to use the 150R stem. For multiple reasons. For housing and frame, for things like this. For ABS pump, for this wheel, because I don't think you can put the 125 wheel on, because one is digital and one is speedo cable. So you have to use the 150R steering stem. You have no choice. Okay. What else? The fuel tank, which I think I've already gone over, but just in case I haven't, you have to use the 200i fuel tank. See the difference? This is gravity fed. It comes out the bottom. This is fuel pump. Now, I got this at a Kymco dealership in the Philippines, and it was a perfect fit because it's the same thing. The 200i and the 125 are exactly the same, except the 200i is fuel injected, and the 125 or 50cc, which I don't think you Philippines really get, they are gravity fed. So you have to buy a 200i fuel tank, which also means you have to buy a 200i fuel pump. Now, this is probably the most expensive part of this swap. This is about 10,000 peso, I believe. I got this in Australia, so this wasn't much money. This was like 100 Australian dollars. But now this is the 125, no, this is the Kymco 150 fuel pump. As you can see, it's hard to tell, but it's much smaller. You have to buy the 200i fuel pump. So when you buy the tank, buy the pump. Now, if you can get a second-hand one, you'll be saving a lot of money, like I did. But that's actually broken, so I can't start it up. So, but it did. I will upload a video at the end of me using this fuel pump to start it up. The only thing is, I had to hold it down because there were no screws that would actually screw into that. Anyway, so steering stem, fuel tank, and fuel pump. Now, while we're talking about fuel tank, you don't have to buy it. You can do what I did, but it's really ugly. You can use the 125 seat bucket. Alright, you just have to cut a hole out here for your pump, and you have to cut a hole out here for your fuel cap, and it will fit straight on top of it. Now, I have bought a 200i seat bucket because I think this is ugly. It's not pretty, it's pretty ugly, so I'm not happy with it. However, you can use this seat bucket and it will be no problem. It's not like you look at it anyway because it's under the seat. You know, you don't see it. So that, you can save money and not use the 200i seat. Now, the last thing I need to talk about, that is the steering stem, tank, if you want, the seat bucket, and you need to extend all these wires. Because as you might know, the 150 fuel tank is here and the battery is back there. This is the opposite. The 125, the fuel tank is here and the battery is here. So it's not scary, alright? If anyone thinks, oh, I have to cut my wiring harness, it's scary, it's not. If you do one wire at a time, you will never fuck it up. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't swear, but you'll never fuck it up. Just do one wire at a time. See what I've done? Cut one, solder it, then do the other. And then just rinse and repeat. Cut one, then do the other. Now I have bought these to do my soldering, where you stick the wire in here. You stick the wire in here, and then you stick the wire in the other side, like that, well, whatever, like that, and then you melt them together. I don't know, but you can just solder them. You know, you can do whatever you want, as long as you make them longer. I had to extend the fuel gauge. I had to extend the 4 fuses. There are 4 fuses. I did not touch any battery wires. I did not have to touch them. None. I had to extend... Well, yeah, you know, I don't remember. I did extend my brake line. I mean, not brake line. Oops, my brake light line. So again, you just cut one at a time and extend one at a time. Match the colors up. It's not scary. It's simple. So yeah, that was the scariest part. You have to cut the harness and extending wires. It wasn't that difficult, but to some people, that might put them off. Okay, I think that's all. Exhaust is the same. There's one other modification I did to this bike, and that was because I did not know where to put it. Maybe another member of this group will find a better solution. But none of this requires welding. I did 0 welding on this project. However, I chose to do a little bit of welding. Oh, shit. Alright. I welded the spark plug coil to the frame, and I welded it right here. Now, you don't have to do this. I did this. I actually used the original bracket it was on and welded it to the frame. Now, if you're smart, you might find another place to put it. Maybe you'll put it here. Or, I don't know. Maybe you'll put it... Look, I don't know. That's the problem I had. I didn't know where to put this. I had no idea. Maybe someone else will find a better solution. Same as this. I didn't know where to put this, so I put it there. I think it's okay there. I don't see any problems. Maybe someone might correct me, I'm not sure. But, yeah, I'm going to end this part. So, stem, wires, fuel tank. They're the 3 things that you need to consider. Alright, now let's talk about electronics. So let's talk about ignition barrel, ABS, placement, wires. Let's talk about the fun stuff, alright? So, first of all, the ignition barrel. So I did this because I actually thought this was an awesome invention. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. Where's my key? Well, crap. I've locked myself out of my ignition now. I love this idea. I personally have not seen a scooter with this metal lock there. It is awesome. And now I've locked myself outside the scooter. Anyway, let's continue the video. I'll find the key. All right. So, first things first, the ignition barrel. All right. So this, where is it? This is the ignition barrel for the 150R. It is big. It is massive. It is heavy. All right. Now, I didn't want to use this, and I was hoping that I didn't need to use this. Now, I think the reason why it's so big is because it's also got all these little glove box things, and it's just a mess. It's big, it's heavy, and it's not what you want for this project. So, I actually had a look at these wires. And if you compare these wires to the original barrel, they are exactly the same. Here. It's a little bit hard with one hand. But red is in the same spot, green is in the same spot, black is in the same spot. Everything's exactly the same. It even has this weird blue leftover one. Does anyone know what that is? Anyway, I thought to myself, what are the chances I can use the 125 keys and the 125 ignition barrel and just hook it onto the 150R harness? Like, what are the odds? So, I got the ignition barrel, I plugged it in, and boom, it works. You do not need to use this big, clunky barrel. Rubbish. You can use the original 125 key thing. Look how much better and tiny that is. And it fits the frame, because don't forget, I'm using the 125 frame. I should have said that, but I never did. So, the 125 frame fits this barrel, which means I can lock my steering. Oh, actually, no, I can't. No, I can't. I cannot lock my steering. I forgot about that. That is one problem I have on this build. But we'll talk about that later. Alright. So, I have a 125 ignition barrel with the 150 locking device, which I think is really nice. All I had to do was make a bigger hole in here. I shoved it in there, and it fits. That's not going to come out. Look, I'll try and rotate it. See my hand? It's really nice. It looks good. It's safe. It all fits. Okay, so ignition barrel we've talked about. Let's talk about how I located everything. Maybe I'll take this rack off. Just wait. You know what? I don't need to take the rack off. I can just move it out of the way. Alright, so let's talk about the inside of my fairing. And does it all fit? Now, here's the inside of my bike. So just remember, this is the 125 chassis, and all this is 150. So what did I do? So, the horn, just put anywhere, doesn't matter. These fuses, I left the little black tab on, and I just tabbed it onto this part here. Again, not a problem. Look at that. Just poof, done. Now, I don't know if this was a smart idea. It could be a dumb idea. Alright. another person can find a better solution, but I have glued my tip sensor right there. I think originally it's up there in the housing. I don't remember, but I just glued it there. Could be a dumb idea, I don't know. This is a relay, I think, and it seems to be, yeah, it's just there. I've screwed it in. See, everything fits. All these cords are tucked away. Alright. Cigarette lighter tucked away. The modern cigarette lighter. This is the 150 cigarette lighter. This is the 125 cigarette lighter. So I had two now. They both work. They both just screw in and tuck away. However, let's talk about the ABS. Alright. Now, the ABS and everything is usually mounted to, I believe, this. This is the 150. Alright, I did not use that. Everything here is 125. Like the frame and stuff. So all I did was place the ABS right in the middle of the bike. Right where it normally would go, to be honest. And what I've done is I've made my own little bracket up. So I've got the bracket here. It curves. I bent it. And I hooked it up to the chassis. Alright, that's just a little piece of metal. It's not even on both sides. Because you can't. See, that's the other side of the module. It's only on one side. Now again, maybe someone could find a better solution, but that isn't moving. That isn't going anywhere. When I move that, I move the whole bike. And it just mounted up to... Oh. Sorry, I stepped on the nut. It just mounted up to the hole. There was a hole right there for a nut. It might have been the original hole. So I just put it in that hole and off it went. Perfect. Now, since I got this from a crashed scooter, I actually don't know if the ABS module works. I presume it does. Alright, hope and pray. But it all is hooked up. All the brake lines, I have no problem. This brake line here goes up here, connects to that. This brake line goes all the way here and connects to that. And then these two brake lines obviously connect to that. Not any problems with the ABS. I thought that was going to be a problem, but it was not. One little bracket from here connecting to that screw, which is a part of the chassis. It looks like this. Not a problem. Now, let's talk about these electronics. So I've already talked about this. I put that there. That was the only thing I welded on this entire project. And that was my choice. Talking about electronics, I put this here. It's not on there properly. But there is a hole. No, there's not. I put a hole. So this looked like... This looked like this, just a flat piece of metal. I put one hole here, and I mounted the rectifier there. I haven't done the second hole yet, I've only done one hole, but you get the picture. Alright. The starter relay is in the same location it was on the 125. The cords for the battery, positive and negative, I have not touched. They are the original cords. They are the 150 cords. Oh, someone's ringing me. So let's talk about my battery wires. I had to get that phone call. The negative wire was quite tight. See, the red one's not, but the green one was. So I cut a hole in here, as you can see, and the wires just went down here, through here, into that. Now, you might find a better solution, but for me, that is fine, because all I need to do is put that thing over it. Whatever, just put that thing over it and it's fine. Here it is. That. It's not really on it, but you get the point. Let's look properly. There you go. Perfectly fine. Alright, so we've talked about the electronics, and we've also talked about how I did extend the brake line for the brake light. Now, this is exactly the same as the 150R. If I remember correctly. Alright, just double check before you cut anything. But I believe that was the same. The indicators and brake light all plug into this. There it is. What else can I talk about? It's not really electronic, but the airbox, I had no problem fitting it in between the gap and this gap. It just fits straight in. No problems. I think that's all I can talk about with the electronics. Alright, let's move on to... Alright, and the last thing I can talk about is just the plastics, but there's not much to talk about. Since you're building everything on the original frame, all the plastics fit. I didn't have any problems. The only thing, like, this gap, I mean, maybe people don't like that. There is a gap there. But everything fits. I can put the front shield on. I can put the rear clam on. I can put, you know, the suspension cover on. Everything. Everything fits. Here is this shield. This shield fits as well. You know, it goes, you know, in there. No problems. Also, you have a lot of room to do stuff down here. If you want to put stuff down here, you can. You have a lot of room. So you can do whatever you want down there. Here is my glove box. Yeah, really this whole thing works. I'll at the end of this video and at the start, I'll have a video of it running just to get your attention. I'll put it at the start as well. But this whole thing works. It should perform like a 150 inside a 125. I can't wait to register it and put it on the road and have the luxuries of, you know, navigation and all the other stuff. I do have a few broken clips here. That annoys the shit out of me. But my problem. If you do want to modify the vehicle and use parts like the rack, I had an issue with the rack because, hang on, because the original Kymco like Italia rack, which is this, it wants to mount here and connect somewhere to this chassis. I'm not sure. I can't tell you because I've already done this. And you can't mount it because I've put this here. So I've come up with my own solution. Hang on, just wait. So originally I tried to use what I got given. And I got given this bracket, which I have brutally murdered. I vented and all kinds of stuff. And I thought it worked. However, it did not work. And I will also upload a video of why.